Keep moving, got to keep on moving on. Keep going on, got to keep on moving on.
All can make it
In life,
you got to get focused.
Keep on moving,
Sky is the limit.
You got to get there, keep moving, keep marching on.
You can make it
In life,
you got to get focused.
Keep on moving,
Sky is the limit.
You got to get there, keep moving, keep marching on.
Keep on moving.
Keep moving, keep marching on.
A very good evening and a warm welcome to Able Differently, where we always take charge. In order to create a sense of responsibility in caregivers and persons with disability, ease of access to information is key. To do that, information has to be created in a manner that suits the audience.
And it has to be systematic from known to unknown. In today's show, we focus on importance of information in creating awareness on matters concerning disability. I am your host, Caxton Osozie.
And I'm Jane Theuri.
Karibuni.
Keep moving, keep marching on.
Every year in October, Rare Gem Talent School organizes a Dyslexia Day to create awareness about the condition. This year, the event was organized in November because of the KCPE examinations. Regardless of the months, the event had its traditional way of doing things. Take a look.
Rare Gem Talent School, in conjunction with the Dyslexia Organization Kenya, organized a Dyslexia Open Day with the theme Until Every Child Can Read.
Our main objective is to identify what else can this child do, what are their talents. And many of them have actually recovered their self-esteem. They can now be able to talk about their problem, and they can even go back to the normal education stream.
Despite the fact that KCPE exams were ongoing in October, which is the World Month for Dyslexia, they didn't let it pass them and had to organize it in November.
We normally have this event in October. That is the Dyslexia Awareness Month globally. But for today, we decided to have it in November because being a school, there is that rule that you could not, parents will have an event in school where they are candidates. So we waited for school to finish the exam, and so that we could have our Dyslexia Awareness Day.
Dyslexia is characterized with a disability in learning, especially in reading and spelling.
Dyslexia is a reading problem that is not discovered. Actually, it is a hidden disability because you cannot tell a person who is dyslexic until they go to school. Their problem mainly is about reading, writing and spelling.
Rare Gem Talent School was founded with the main objective of taking care of children who are dyslexic.
We started the school because parents seem to have a problem where they could have their children with dyslexia go to. But before then, we had the organization to create awareness about dyslexia.
Due to lack of this knowledge, they take them to schools where teachers are also not aware of the condition.
Teachers don't know how to handle these children because they look okay, they look fine, very intelligent, but they don't know how to help them read because actually it's looking at them, they don't seem to be having any problem.
The children are taught just like the rest without being given special attention.
The main idea is when to discover or when to do intervention for a child who is dyslexic. Other intervention is very important because you can help the child or the person to be able to read before they lose their self-esteem.
Children with dyslexia have the right to get quality education and the ability to perform just like any other children.
Children may stop suffering or being harassed by the society and also help them identify what are they good at. And then, after all, these children will go back to the society. How do they go back to society?
They are able to go far and be successful in the society, a sentiment echoed by Hassan Mwandime, the chairperson of the Wildlife Club of Kenya in Kwale County, who is also dyslexic.
My system was the class 7. I completed class 7, I went to secondary school. But by good luck, the dyslexic people, they have got different talents. out of my dyslexic, I came and discovered that I'm an artist. Out of my dyslexic, I discovered that I can organize other things. Now, by good luck, right now, as I stand here, I'm the chairperson of Wildlife Clubs of Kenya, the whole Kwale County.
Those who have benefited from the program were also not shy to testify of what early detection of dyslexia has done to their lives.
Nashukuru Auntie Phyllis na Teacher Nancy na walimu wale wengine. Pia nashukuru vile walinifundisha kusoma, walinisaidia.
Story yangu ni the same na hiyo ya Milliam. Before I joined Rare Gem Talent School. I joined Rare Gem Talent School in 2013. Before I joined Rare Gem Talent School, students in the school that I was used to, yani wananichukua siwezi kafanya kitu, siwezi kasoma, siwezi yani fanya kitu chochote. Yani nikipita pale wananiita tu sijui kusoma, katafutiwa hii shule. Siku ya kwanza kuingia hii shule niona maisha inaanza kuchange slowly by slowly. Yani watoto walikuwa wananielewa shida yangu, hawakuwa wananitoroka, walikuwa wananiambia vitu mbaya kama vile nilikuwa na buko nje. Yani walikuwa wananiamini na nitafanya kila kitu.
Dyslexic children have no disability and are able to do other activities that they are required to do. For instance, children at Rare Gem are not only helped in reading, but are also involved in activities such as farming.
You can see what they have made. Look at our garden. Where have you ever seen this? If you have ever seen it somewhere else, put up your hand. Then give us a clap. Don't we deserve it?
You deserve it. Well, that was informative, and I hope that you learned something new. In today's quote, we focus on Mary Ann saying that goes, accurate information is a key part to motivation. What do you think about this quote, Jane?
Well, simply put, anything that is accurate is very precise and direct to the point. So as long as you have the information that you need to be able to do whatever you need to do, that will be actually an incentive that will motivate you. Actually, motivation is all about incentives that make you to go ahead and do whatever that it is that you want to do. So if you're a musician and you're aware of auditions that are going to happen or to take place, you will go ahead and face the panel or the judges, and you'll be able to exemplify yourself by actually showing your skills.
Exactly. And this one goes to students who are sitting for the KCSE exams, that if you have information, you'll have the courage to face the paper.
Very true.
Let us take a short break. We will be right back.
Keep moving, keep marching on. Keep moving, keep marching on.
Welcome back. If you have just joined us, you are watching Able Differently, where we continue to take charge. Physical disabilities are attributed to accidents, and Bright Oyoaya's story reads from the same script. Instead of keeping quiet about this condition, she decided to talk about it. Take a look.
Bright Oyoaya wasn't born with any disability, but through a road accident, she was confined to a wheelchair, as she narrates.
I was working for a national bank, and my life was going on, happy-go-lucky, until one day life changed and I became a person with disability. This has been like 19 years now.
She remembers how the doctor disclosed the traumatizing news that she could never walk again 19 years ago.
The experience of being taken into hospital, I was unconscious. And I remember the first time I ever gained consciousness is when the doctor told me that they'd been through the first operation and I was to go through another operation. I didn't understand that. But after a couple of days, the doctor was able to speak to me and tell me that, ask me whether I knew what had happened to me and that I wouldn't work again.
From then on, Bright could only remember her frequent visit to the hospital, hopeful with each visit that news of her walking again would suffice.
You go through processes of first denial, and like I said, I denied it for a while. Like, I'll wake up tomorrow, it's a dream, you know, that there's something the doctor may not have seen. Maybe tomorrow he will see, and therefore I will restore my movement. And then there is anger when you begin to realize that this thing could be true. I was angry at everything. I didn't even know where to place my anger on. So people around me must have thought I was a very cynical person.
Accepting her fate was simply not a walk in the park. It took her time to heal as reality finally dawned on her.
My life was a dream up to that point, because the last time I remembered I was in a vehicle going somewhere, and I wake up with white ceilings and people dressed in white, and I'm wondering, who am I? Of course, I decide I'm dreaming, so I lived the dream until a point when reality struck. So when I got that information, for me, like, unlike many people who say it was devastating at that point, it wasn't, because it was a joke. It took me a couple of months to actually process the fact that this had happened and I wouldn't walk again, and therefore I began to try and put some pieces together.
She briefly tells us about her family, which she undeniably states their commitment and support at such a time.
My family was very supportive, and this is one asset that every person, I believe, whose life changes needs to have. Very, very supportive, always there with me, financially, physically, emotionally. They were all there.
After her ordeal, she decided to move on. Determined and focused more than ever, Bright ventured into greener pastures.
I think I worked for 2 years after my life had changed. What again, I must say, when you go through an experience like mine, you can't be exactly the same. My perspective to life had changed. My interests just seemed to change all of a sudden. I no longer was enjoying working in the same place. It became boring, it became difficult in a sense. So I moved out and decided to do things that touch people's lives. It's because my life had been so touched by so many people. You don't realize how much you need people until you are in a state like that.
As Bright's quest to live a more purposeful life grew, she was able to change the lives of many, especially at the spinal injury hospital.
I moved out of the bank, and the first thing I did after that was I did some volunteer work with an organization that dealt with people with disability. That was the Kenyan Paraplegic Organization. Then through that, I was seconded to the National Spinal Injury Hospital by the same organization, where I did counseling for patients for 4 years. And while I was there, I was asked to work with the SAT Kenya on what is it called? On not full-time, part-time basis. That's the word I'm looking for. And then eventually I worked here for full-time basis. Now here is where I am.
Having worked at the hospital and even being a patient there, she could not avoid noticing the inadequacy in facilities.
There's a lot that needs to happen for the rehabilitation of people with disability. As much as we now have the Disability Act that promotes issues around disability, we have the Constitution, the Bill of Rights that talks about no discrimination either on gender and other spheres, and now disability, there's still a lot that needs to happen. Attitude is still key in terms of viewing people with disability. Many centers, many places where people with disability find themselves, you find that the establishment is not up to date. You find that the facilities are either small, not having enough of equipment. So there's still something that can happen. I don't feel like a lot of effort is put towards places where people with disabilities are, whether you go to homes, whether you go to institutions. I find the story is the same.
As the executive director of the Association for Safe International Road Travel, Bright tells us of the measures she and her staff are putting in place to curb road accidents.
Working with road safety, knowing that road crashes are one of the highest causes, for example, of spinal cord injuries, advocating for things like accessible transport, advocating for things like access to roads, pavements, accessibility to buildings, and just the general well-being of people with disability. Mentoring girls with disabilities, to ensure that being a woman, like they say, is one issue. Being a woman with disability is double jeopardy. And just encouraging young girls that indeed you can live your life to the fullest, to the full potential. Disability should not be what stops you.
The annual event in remembrance of road accident victims could not go unmentioned as she was wrapping up.
Accidents or crashes, as I would like to call them, continue to be a big problem in this country. And ASAT Kenya's sole mandate is around advocacy. So we are working very closely with the government to ensure that public awareness goes out there. Like this whole week from the 14th of November up to the 20th of November is considered as a Road Safety Week, and a lot of activities already have gone through. If you have been watching news, you will see that awareness campaigns on media, eye clinics for drivers, things are happening around just to focus people on issues, road safety. And of course, there'll be the climax on the 20th of November where we are fully involved as a day that is set aside to remember those people that have been involved in road crashes, the victims, the caregivers like doctors, first responders, and so forth.
The elephant question in the room concerning her family popped up, and she freely explained to us why she was still a single lady.
I believe in purpose. When you live a life, you must live a life of purpose. If you asked me this question 19 years ago, the answer would be different. Having been involved with a road crash and having acquired a disability and engaging myself with the activities that either promote prevention of disability and road crashes and working with people with disability, I found my calling finally and my purpose finally. And I concentrated, and I still concentrate so much with it that I'm totally fulfilled. I am not even thinking about doing other things like you have asked. So in a sense, you may say so, because my focus just changed to having an impact and empowering others. And along, I have acquired a lot of children that may not be biological, but children that I mentor, children that I work with, children that I care for. So yeah. So remotely, yes, but I'm not too sure that it's the sole reason why I'm not thinking about a future in a family context, like you put it.
Bride's address in terms of advice is directed to families living with those able differently and the public in general.
Caregivers have a huge role and a huge responsibility taking care of children with disability, but the first place to begin is to accept that position that you have a child with disability, and it's not a less than, it is a gift. Every child is a gift, whichever way you look at it. Also to engage in with people that might be more exposed and knowledgeable of support systems. It's always very good to belong to a support group. It is always very good to belong to a group of people who share the same sentiments or predicament as you. You grow when you hear other people's experiences, you share information.
Keep moving, keep marching on.
Get up, pick your mat and walk. That was this year's Disability Awareness Week theme that was organized by PCEA St. Andrew's Church. Our team was there and compiled the following report.
PCEA St. Andrews had the Disability Awareness Week with Sunday marking its climax.
This week we've been planning different activities for the disability awareness. There are those who are making their beads. There are those who are making liquid soaps. There are those who are tailoring different handbags.
The week was full of activities that involved people with disabilities.
We had concert, different people living with disabilities gathered in the hall. There were songs, there were dramas, there were all those kind of activities that were going on. On Monday we visited some at home, and on Wednesday we had a visit to a hospital and did donation on several things.
The one-week event was themed Get Up, Pick Your Mat and Walk.
God is calling upon each one of us to tell those persons living with disability, rise, take your mat and walk. And we want to thank the government of Kenya through the new constitution, that specific area where it is empowering people living with disabilities.
The event, which is done annually, is geared towards raising awareness on what the people with disability are able to achieve despite the challenges that they go through every day.
We had planned to make the whole congregation aware of people living with disabilities, that disability is not inability. We had one person who was blind who gave a testimony, and people were happy to learn that you can be born whole, but you are disabled in a way, and you can make it in life.
The Sunday service, named Disability Sunday, started with a word of prayer from Evangelist Obonyo, while the Bible verses were read by those with hearing impairment, who also entertained the congregation with the help of various sign interpreters.
Disability Awareness Sunday, as we pray. Our Heavenly Father, we want to thank you this morning. We want to tell you thank you for giving us this day, Lord. We pray for the people who are here to worship with us, Lord. We pray also that you will forgive us our sins, Lord. Remember each one of us, Lord. Thank you for giving us life. Thank you for even the others who are sick. Remember them, those who are in hospital, that you may touch them.
The sermon summarized the activities of the whole week, stressing on the theme of the event.
Our message is that parents not to hide children. You know, we hide them when we become confused whether it is a curse or why my child is disabled or my brother. And because we don't want to be seen as if we are not right with God, we hide them. But we are a very strong message is for parents to bring those children on board.
People with disabilities are also not an exception, and therefore they should not be used for personal gain, but rather be part of each and every development step.
Through training, we have programs where we are training them on cookery, training them on beadwork, training them on dressmaking, training them even on farm. We have trained them on what we call farming in a bag farming, and training them on those many things. And now we are in the second stage of empowering them now. That training they have to see whether we can assist them to start something.
At the end of the day, everyone was happy to have participated in the event. The organizers appreciated every effort put forward to make their goal come through.
We achieved by letting people know that whether you are disabled or not, the talent you have, if you are positive, you achieve everything. And we can say whether you are disabled or not, the sky is the limit. We thank God because of the media who are there to let others know about this Disability Day.
Let us take a look at the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities.
The UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities states that state parties recognize the rights of persons with disabilities to work on an equal basis with others. This includes the right to the opportunity to gain a living by work freely chosen or accepted in a labor market and work environment that is open, inclusive and accessible to persons with disabilities.
Well, folks, to enhance development and inspire both the caregivers and people living with disabilities, information on different conditions should be encouraged.
That's it for today. See you again same time next week for more insightful episode of Able Differently. I have been your host, Jane Theory.
And me, Caxton Osozie. Goodbye.
Kwa uwezo wake Mola nitafika. Safari ndefu yaanza kwa hatua moja. Wahenga walisema nikiokoka nachukua hatua ya kwanza ya safari ya mbinguni. Kuna changamoto, kuna panda shuka, lakini kwa